Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life.
And Professor Sunreis Productions!
Hello class, Professor Sunreis here. First of all, I want to thank you all so much for the overwhelming support ever since German Nationals. I even got over 1,100 subscribers right now. A huge thank you for all of you guys. I am planning on doing like maybe an FAQ video, just ask me some questions, just get to know me, ask me anything game related or even ungame related, like, I don't know, what's my favorite anime, whatever, I don't know. So if you're interested in that, let me know. You can even put your questions down here, and if I get enough questions, I will make an additional video on that, where you can even ask more questions, and then I will make a video answering them. I don't know yet, depending on how many questions come in, of course. Then, in this video, we will be taking a look at the new cards in battles of, I don't know, something, Legends Armageddon, I don't know, I will put the name here. Especially, we'll be taking a look at Assault Synchron, probably one of the most hyped card ever. And then the new spells in Shadow Slide and Duality, I think they are called, and all of the applications they have in Dragon Link. So without further ado, don't forget to seal pass on the subscribe button, leave some feedback down below, and let's get right into the video. So let's take a look at each of the cards, and let's start with, at least in my opinion, the worst one for Dragon Link, being Duality. Tribute 1 Light or Dark Monster, special summon 1 Light or Dark Monster from your hand or extra deck with the same original type and level, but on a different original attribute. So the problem with this type of effect is pretty obvious. Us running both lights and darks in a very standard deck makes it super hard to get this card out consistently. You don't really want to use it from the hand because that's just a very bad minus effect, and there aren't a lot of good cards in the extra deck to summon. There is Darkfire Dragon, but that only works if you start out with a Safer. At this point, you already have a pretty good opening hand or like a Chaos base, so it does very little with that because it doesn't really give you access into anything good. The only thing that you can summon out really good is the Borrowload Furious Dragon out of the extra deck if you tribute a Lubellion. That is a pretty solid play, not gonna lie, and you can play the Borrowload Furious Dragon, of course, naturally by playing the Quick Trigger Fusion, the Rocket Spell. Problem with that is it's a card that only works if your combo has basically already completely resolved, doing basically nothing if you get stopped early on. The second effect, during the main phase, you can manage this card from your graveyard, target 1 light and 1 dark monster in the graveyard, shuffle both of them into the deck, and draw 1. That's an, in theory, insane effect, but if you think about it, the only light effect, only light monsters we have in the graveyard are Seyfert and Lubellion. So you do kind of struggle by putting them back into the deck, because you really want to keep them, right? If you have both of them in combination, you want to use the Seyfert to get the Lubellion back, then you use the Lubellion, then use the Lubellion on field, get it back into the graveyard, and only then you can use the Duality. So while in theory this card looks insane, the lack of good targets in the extra deck, in addition to the lack of a very linear game plan of only starting with light monsters or only starting with dark monsters, makes this card not so great. The graveyard effect in theory seems good, but because we only play very high impactful light cards in the graveyard, it's super hard to get alive. So let's talk about Shadow Slide. Target 1 monster you control, special summon 1 light monster from the deck or extra deck with the same original type and level. You can banish this card from the graveyard during the main phase. This turn you can do an additional normal summon of a light and dark. We cannot use the battle phase this turn, and you can use both, right? You can only use, yeah, you can use both. Not conducting the battle phase is not too crazy. We can very realistically play without a battle phase. We are a control deck after all, and going first, it doesn't matter. Target 1 dark monster you control, special summon 1 light monster from a deck or extra deck with the same original type and level. That in theory is a very good effect, giving us access into more Seyferts if we start out with a Tracer. I don't know why the Tracer is not here. So there's that. Getting access into Ringo Worm, of course, is not really possible with this because we don't really want any level 2 dragons, and let's check the original type and level must be the same, so we can only realistically summon level 4 dragons out of the deck, level 4 light dragons, which is of course insane because they are safer. The problem I see with this card is, first of all, the space issues. If you take a look at the list which I've been running, or a list a lot of people are running, space is super tight in this deck, and you don't really want to go further with this deck. And if you wanted to go further, you have already very solid plans which work by themselves in our one-card starters, right? You would put in the black metal, you would put in maybe some more non-engine, and then you're good to go. You don't really need to put in additional cards for 2-card combos. The additional normal summon can be very fine, especially going second. I think this card is very decent. The only problem it has is it's a little bit too fair, and dragons are too good by their own right now. If, for example, Magnamut would get limited to 1, we'd have some more space and we want more access into Seyfert, because Seyfert gives us access into Lebellion, which in turn gives us access into Magnamut. You could maybe run this. Of course, you do have different lines as well. You could, in theory, whenever a good light level 6 dragon comes out, which there is none by at least by now, you could use this also for Bystials, and maybe at this point, if you have like multiple options to do with this, where you could go into Seyfert or into something else with this card, and maybe you have the extra space because Magnamut is there, this card would be insane, or at least very decent. It not being a quick spell, like, so you could maybe dodge something, even though this doesn't tribute, so this doesn't even work. I thought it tributed just like this card. It doesn't, but overall, it doesn't seem all too crazy, because you have to take into consideration, you're using one card, you get access into Seyfert in a deck, which already basically can do that, because you can just use a discard in the standard combo to get Seyfert into the graveyard. And of course, Seyfert on the field is a little bit different than Seyfert in the graveyard, but in the end, they basically do the same thing, because this is like a very conditional extender, which to give you an additional body into the board, so that you can use the Seyfert and the Tracer, I guess, to go into the Romulus, and then use an additional card to get access into the Bystial package. So because the deck already has a way to use one random card to go into Seyfert access, at least for what it needs to be doing with Seyfert, and the space is just too tight in the main deck for dragons right now, I don't think Shadow's Light is gonna have a huge splash in at least current main deck dragons. If you go 60, you can definitely play this card. Like, if you play 60 card Dragonling, play this card. This is a very solid pickup in this deck. And then the most promising package, at least in my opinion, is the Soul Synchron package. Soul Synchron is a very weird card. It is, of course, a very strong card, right? You can just special summon it out for free on the board. It's a level 2 tuner. You are synchro locked as long as this card is on the board, and even has an additional effect where you can, if a face-up Dragon Synchro monster you control is tributed or banished, you can banish this from the graveyard and then summon the banished target. So, of course, has an insane synergy with Bystial Disparta. So what you want to be doing is use this and Axel Synchro Dragon. Like, use this and a Bystial to go into Axel Synchro Dragon, summon Disparta summon something back, tribute the Disparta for the Lubellion, and then get out the Disparta again with the Axel Synchron. So that's in theory really good. The only problem I have with it is that it doesn't open up any new 2-card combos, because you will still be needing a way to get the Bystial on the board, the Bystial itself, and then the Assault Synchron. So it turns all of your 2-card combos into 3-card combos, which is fine, at least because it gives you insane amount of power, so it is a worth trade-off, but it's just not very consistent. You can kind of circumvent this consistency by playing a package like this, where you play 3 Tuning, which of course can just send a random very good card, then 1 Assault Synchron and 1 Rocket Synchron, because this can also be searched by Tuning. So in Tuning, they have a very similar approach to how I play right now, that I'm very fine with just having a normal summonable dragon, and Tuning is that because Tuning can search a Rocket Synchron. But if we, for example, have a very good card, Tuning can turn into an insane extender by searching the Assault Synchron, going for that whole route where you can get into the Disparta. You can even cheese out a Baron if you need it. So there's a whole lot of stuff you can do with the Assault Synchron package. Only problem here again is that this plays a little more into Droll, and still is a 3-card combo, right? Even though Tuning makes it way more consistent, because you have a 3-card combo where one of the combo pieces can be like a starter as well, or like a very generic decent card for you. But there's still the space issue. Like I said, we have a 42, 43 card deck. How do you fit this in? I don't feel comfortable cutting like a Bystial, because they're just way too good, especially if you want to play the Assault Synchron. You can maybe cut this, you can maybe cut this. You still need to fit in 3 new cards, and you still definitely want to keep close to 40, and you still want to have a good amount of non-engine. So it is very hard to fit those cards in there. If you somehow can do it, if you play 60, for example, this is something again which can be very good, but probably less consistent while being more explosive. And add to that, that Droll is, I wouldn't say very popular in the format, but it's definitely still a card, and you just lose even harder to that card. You can definitely, if you build your deck around it, play through Droll quite easily, but if you play stuff like Tuning, where you just add a Tuner Synchron, like a Soul Synchron, Rocket Synchron, whatever, then you get Droll before you even got any out of your meaningful searches out, or you want to use your Lebellion first, then you have this random Tuning in your hand, which you can't do. It's just a very bad feeling, and overall I feel like while it would make the deck stronger and more explosive, you do lose some of the versatility, consistency, and most importantly, like ways to play through the opponent's disruption, like the durability of the deck. You definitely get a huge hit on that. But overall, I'm most promised by the tuning package and will definitely try it out in Dragons. And actually, I wanted to test it out already, but I just couldn't really figure something out. Then I found the Rocket Synchro and I was like, okay, maybe that's worth to check out. But honestly, the space is just too tight for my opinion to play this. I'm not be going to Euros, so maybe I'm excited to see some of you guys or maybe some random Dragon Link players put out the Assault Synchron package. But overall, I'm not too crazy about the whole new cards. They're hyped in the internet all crazy for Dragons, but overall, if you play a little bit with the deck, you will notice that these cards aren't all too good apart from the tuning package for Dragons. But as long as Magnamon is at 3 and we can play like a very Bystial control heavy version of Dragon Link, where you have basically the best of both worlds, the Dragon Link, the Bystial control grind game, with 3 Magnamon and the Branded Regan, Branded Beast, plus the explosiveness and the synchro access of the rockets with the rocket engine. I don't see a reason to lean more towards the combo pile, more towards the synchro pile, because at least in my opinion, the Bystial package is what makes Dragon Link so broken right now, and the infinite loop you have with the Magnamon Branded Regain is just insane, and there are very little decks which can keep up with that, and all of the new cards don't really go in tandem with that control playstyle, and they tend to go more towards the combo lines, which I am not a huge fan. I like my control decks, and in my opinion, Dragon Link is one of the best mid-range / control decks, just because the way it is built right now, and the new cards don't really offer anything to that. But I would love to be disputed by that. Assault Synchron is a very cool card. I mean, just look at this cute guy. I mean, he's looking cute. And of course, a free level 2 tuner with the way that this Parter Axel Synchron works is nothing to scoff at. It's just the consistency, which is a little bit scary. But maybe in a different format, for example, where Bystials would be completely broken and you have very consistent Assault Synchron plus Bystial lines, you do maybe do something, because you can still go into Axel Synchro Dragon, go into Disparta, and you still have 2 bodies on board with that play just alone, right? You have the Disparta, and then you can resummon like a dragon out of the banish pile. So you still have 2 dragons on the board with that. You can, in theory, get into something, but at least in the current format, which is on the one part dominated by Bystials being broken, and on the other part balanced by Kashtira just shitting on us, I don't think Assault Synchron or any of the other cards are very good at the moment. But like I said, the format always shifting. Maybe in the near future these cards would be insane. At latest, I would think at the banners, because I definitely think Dragons will get hit to some form, maybe a Magnamon to 1, and at that point we can maybe argue about playing this, but for now I won't be playing these cards. Definitely let me know what you guys think about the cards in the comment section below. I of course talked about it with a few guys in the comment section, but also on Discord. But yeah, just definitely let me know your thoughts about these cards. If you have a very cool idea with it, maybe send me a link of the deck. But yeah, for now, class is dismissed. You guys are free to leave. Professor Sunreis out. Peace.